So, hello everyone, and welcome to our Small Business Roundtable. My name is Mariela Osorio, and I am the Career and Small Business Services Assistant at the Long Branch Public Library. I want to thank all of you for joining us today. We are fortunate to host a conversation entitled "The State of Women Entrepreneurs: How Are Women Business Owners Faring These Days?" with important leaders from the small business spectrum. Now, our Small Business Roundtable is an offshoot of our Back to Business program. And for those of you not familiar with that program, Back to Business was launched on May 1st of this year as a response to the pandemic. And its aim is to strengthen small businesses and startups by offering a comprehensive set of training tools and resources to help them with their expansion of an online presence in order to sustain their business or to start up an enterprise. Now, before I begin, I want to let everyone know that today's conversation is being recorded to share with those unable to attend with us and for future archive. I would also like to ask the audience to please mute your microphones. You can find the mute button at the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. Of course, after the discussion, the panelists will be happy to address any questions the audience may have. You can include your questions in the Q&A at the bottom of the screen if you're more comfortable with that, or you can raise your hand and I'll be more than happy to call on you, and then that way you can direct your question to the panelists. Okay, now I'm going to share my screen really quick, and I would like to, oh no, forgive me. No, sorry, bear with me. First, I'd like to talk about our topic. So today's topic focuses on women entrepreneurs. As a matter of fact, tomorrow is Women's Entrepreneurship Day, a day on which the work of women entrepreneurs is observed and discussed and held on November 19th each year by the Women's Entrepreneurship Day organization, or WEDO. So with that in mind, our aim is to raise awareness to the problems women face as business owners. Just like in every other sector in today's world, gender norms are affecting the entrepreneurship ecosystems and creating challenges for women. So for example, women entrepreneurs' competency and market knowledge is routinely disregarded. Women entrepreneurs often experience limited gender-based access to capital. So therefore, it is no surprise that the number of startups by women nationwide still lags that of men. The focus of this month's roundtable is to identify actionable strategies women entrepreneurs can use to turn the challenges they face into opportunities to grow their businesses. Our discussion will offer recommendations to help support women entrepreneurs by addressing the stereotypes about who entrepreneurs really are and what entrepreneurship is. We will also learn from each other about the best ways to build successful businesses and vibrant entrepreneurial ecosystems. And finally, our goal is to change the dialogue about entrepreneurship in order to match reality. At this time, joining me are four experts well positioned to analyze the situation and help us navigate the future. And also with us are two local business owners who will share with us how they've managed the pandemic. Now, I would like to introduce our panelists. Bear with me 1 second. Okay, Caitlin Campanile is an attorney and the owner of the law office of Caitlin R. Campanile, LLC, which is located in Oakhurst, New Jersey. She focuses her practice on community association, real estate, and corporate law. Caitlin's experience includes representing condominium and homeowners associations in the capacity of general legal counsel, handling transactional real estate matters, and representing business clients in many types of cases. Caitlin is a graduate of Seton Hall University School of Law, where she received her JD. She received her Bachelor's of Science in Finance and Economics from Monmouth University, where she graduated summa cum laude from the Monmouth University Honors Program. Maureen Dalton is on a mission to empower businesses, large and small, to reach their potential. With a degree in business administration from Kean University, she has over 25 years in various industries. They include leadership positions in cable television, insurance, and not-for-profit association management. Her expertise in marketing, sales, and business development have enhanced the growth and profitability of the organizations she supported. In addition to work projects, Maureen has a passion for and volunteers with SCORE for over 8 years. Now, SCORE is a network of 10,000 plus expert volunteers that offers free business mentoring and workshops locally and across the country. SCORE also provides free virtual mentoring services via phone, email, and video, plus webinars and other online resources for budding entrepreneurs and established business owners. Through her work with SCORE, Maureen has enabled many small companies across the US to pivot their businesses during the pandemic. Lauren McCaskill is CEO of Lauren McCaskill Consulting Group, LLC. Currently, Lauren serves on the Long Branch Board of Education. She is a graduate of Emerge, New Jersey, a premier national training program geared towards increasing the number of Democratic women leaders from diverse backgrounds in public office. She holds a bachelor's in pre-law and Africana studies. While pursuing her undergraduate degree, Lauren was hand-selected to attend Rutgers University's Center for Women in Politics New Leadership Program, which encourages young women to enter the political arena. She continues to utilize her training and expertise to be an advocate and respected public figure in her hometown of Long Branch, New Jersey. Lauren has worked on various political campaigns, ranging from state to municipal races. Recently, she served as a staffer for the successful mayoral campaign of John Pallone. The team worked tirelessly to oust a 28-year incumbent. She also served as an administrator for the national award-winning public affairs firm Kivett, located in Asbury Park, New Jersey. Lisa Velasquez is the founder, CEO, coach, and ladypreneur behind Lisa Talks Love, a holistic lifestyle coaching company where she helps passionate women break through and heal unhealthy dating and relationship patterns to reignite their self-love and align with the love they desire. Lisa graduated from Columbia University with a master's in clinical psychology. As a serial entrepreneur, love coach, and speaker, Lisa's passion for self-love, women's entrepreneurship, and building wealth from the inside out has led her to create Latina Entrepreneurs, Inc., to pay it forward with a solution for the lack of access to resources and connections for Latina small business owners and solopreneurs to grow profitable businesses and thrive. Her solution, the platform offers virtual events and masterclasses with access to tools and strategies from top experts to level up their businesses from anywhere around the world. As I mentioned before, we also have two business owners with us joining us today. Jane Tresnan is the owner and developer of Total Storage Concepts, LLC, and Cube Smart Self-Storage in Red Bank. Jane has been active in the self-storage industry for the last 8 years. She entered the business as a partner with her late husband, Thomas Tresnan, an industry leader with over 25 years of experience acquiring, developing, and operating self-storage in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. Jane is also managing partner of West Orange Storage, LLC, and TNL Partners, LLC, and is responsible for the day-to-day operations of self-storage facilities in West Orange, New Jersey, as well as Bethlehem Township, Pennsylvania. Ms. Tresnan's most recent development project is new construction of a multi-story 80,000 plus square foot state-of-the-art Cube Smart self-storage facility in the town of Red Bank, New Jersey. Jane is a member of the New Jersey Self-Storage Association, and her role as communications chairperson and board director of the Eastern Monmouth Area Chamber of Commerce keeps her in touch with fellow business leaders in her community. A graduate of LaSalle University with a bachelor's in psychology, Ms. Tresnan also earned her master's degree in corporate and organizational communication from Fairleigh Dickinson University. And finally, Elise Leibowitz. She is the owner and photographer of Three Chicks That Click Photography. She creates business headshots, executive portraits, personal branding images, entertainment headshots for models and actors, and fashion family portraits. Elise loves helping business owners leverage their image across their brand through social media and other marketing platforms, thereby creating the best look for their businesses. Three Chicks That Click Photography work with clients on their promotional events, corporate branding, marketing materials, and social media. Many of their clients utilize LinkedIn to develop business relationships and look for career opportunities. Having a professional image on LinkedIn is critical, as potential clients and employers are viewing your profile. To help build out a complete profile, Elise's company also offers resume and profile services. Welcome.
Thank you.
I am going to stop sharing. And all right. So welcome, panelists. Again, thank you so much for joining us today. Let's begin. Maureen, I'd like to start with you. The number of women entrepreneurs is on the rise as more women are starting businesses. On paper, things have never looked better for women entrepreneurs. As a matter of fact, as of 2018, more than 11 million US businesses were owned by women, employing nearly 9 million people and generating 1.7 trillion in sales. And this is according to the National Association of Women Business Owners. Now, while women's businesses are growing, they do still lag behind men's businesses in total revenue and employment numbers. If women-owned businesses are growing in number and size, and those businesses are demonstrating longevity, then why do you think they still lag behind men's businesses in terms of overall revenues and employment?
Okay. What I think is a lot is expected of women, being one myself. In addition to, getting a business off the ground, most of them are running homes, having kids, and doing all these other things, whether they're taking care of their parents. So they're, caregivers in their lives and starting a business. A lot of times men, I'm not saying all the time, but sometimes men aren't in that position where they can focus just on the business. Women don't always have that luxury. And the other thing, I don't want this to sound like, oh, poor women, but having been in the workplace myself, not always easy to get access to the same, as you mentioned, dollars that men can get access to or other programs. And there's a lot of things that are in place now that are starting to level the playing field. SCORE is one of them, where you may have an expertise in your product or service, but you don't know the financial piece of it, or you need help setting up the accounting piece of it. Well, we have those experts that can kind of fill in the blanks for you free of charge. And I always mention this, especially when I'm on a women's thing. Vera Bradley, which we all know, she was one of our SCORE clients way back when she was first. Now, the company is named for Vera Bradley, which was the mother of one of the partners. But they started out and they got a SCORE client, and they've been with SCORE a long time, and you see how successful they are. So there's a lot of resources that are out there for women now, but let's not fool ourselves and think that, it's easy or people take everybody seriously. You really have to kind of like kick the door in and use your outdoor voice.
Right, I agree.
To get attention.
Lauren, what is your take on that? Why do you think women still lag in spite of all of these successes?
So I have to agree with Maureen. I have to say that we have to just get in there and just go for it and do it. I think a lot of the times we are juggling a lot of things and we're multitasking, and, you know, I don't want to say that we lack the courage, but we may feel that we're inadequate, like we can't do it. And we don't realize that we need more women in business. We need more women to be in these spaces and to take these spaces and say, hey, this is mine, and own it. Because it wasn't until I did that I realized, like, wow, you know, this is actually exactly everything that I've been looking for. You know, you have the ability, and we always have to remind ourselves and create sisterhoods amongst each other, just like men do. You know, they have their secret handshakes. Why can't we have ours? And have our sisterhoods and support one another. So I think that's another thing, in creating opportunities for other women to be trailblazers just like us, as we did.
Great. Now, a report from Babson Center for Women Entrepreneurial Leadership and Bank of America Private Bank noted 3 key challenges for women entrepreneurs. They were market misperceptions, network exclusion, and limited funding. Caitlin, regarding market misperceptions, women entrepreneurs' competency and market knowledge are routinely disregarded, including market opportunities they identify. What recommendations can you offer?
So I would say, you know, women need to just keep pushing that envelope. You have to start with the confidence in yourself, and you got to put yourself out there, and it might be a little uncomfortable at first, or it might not be something that you would have thought you would do. But you got to get in there and, you know, keep pushing. And I think at the end of the day, it's, you know, your product, your personality, that's going to end up speaking more for you, hopefully, than any preconceived notions of your gender. So my thought is always put your product, your service, your personality first, and the rest will fall in line. So that would be my advice for that.
Great, thank you. Another challenge was network exclusion. Now, women entrepreneurs often experience limited gender-based access to established social and business networks, creating less access to knowledgeable mentors and capital expansion. Most women business owners who have attended networking events can relate to the following scenario that I'm going to describe. And I've been there, believe me. You walk into a crowded seminar or networking event, and you can count the number of women there are on one hand. When women entrepreneurs talk business with primarily male executives, it can really be unnerving. In this sort of situation, women may feel as though they need to adopt a stereotypically male attitude toward business by being competitive, aggressive, and even harsh. How can women business owners defy social expectations without coming off as unpleasant or offensive? In other words, how can women entrepreneurs address gender inequality? Lisa, your thoughts?
So many thoughts. So I actually want to tie this into the first question about why haven't we reached where men are? So even in stating both these things, there is a head start that men have had for decades, practically centuries. So there's already that gap that we're trying to catch up with in experience, access to capital, relationships. And then the other piece is education. So, and I'm not saying that we're not knowledgeable, we completely are, but there's something about strategy that's just different than having intelligence. So if we don't have that access, there's going to be that gap there. So what's already been established as far as networking goes, there is a business style that is masculine. That's not us, okay? It's not who we are. It's not how we vibe. It's not how we thrive. Now, that doesn't mean that when we come into these spaces that we need to turn into a man to do great networking. And I really do not like the idea that women are unpleasant for being who they are, feminine and true to themselves. I think all we need to do to network in these scenarios is be ourselves, be clear, be grounded, and speak confidently about what you're providing in your business, who your clients are, and the value you bring. You don't need to be an ogre. You don't need to scream. You don't need to turn to a frat boy. You don't need to do any of those things to communicate what you're here to do as an entrepreneur. You have a unique service, a product that you provide, whether that's brick and mortar, whether you're an online business owner where you only work virtually, because that's the other thing that people are not recognizing, that women's businesses are brilliantly being built around their lifestyles. We are not succumbing to doing things the way men have structured that do not work for our bodies, our minds, our souls, and the way we want to live. So there have been women who are building multi-million-dollar businesses from home, okay? And they've actually hired their husbands to be their financial person. They quit their day jobs. There's an entrepreneur that I know, I can't remember her name right now, but she hired her husband because her spiritual coaching company is doing so well that he's able to quit his finance job and be her COO. So think about the way we're doing things in our style. So I'm really big on networking this way. I have a virtual networking soiree that I've created for Latina Entrepreneurs, Inc. We do it every month. Our final one is actually tomorrow. And we get together and we talk about what it is we need for our businesses. And I have a set of questions to help them strategically network and build authentic connections. I put them in breakout rooms, and that's women, right? We want to have a little bit more intimate connection with about 4 or 5 people besides talking in a big room. And people have their kids, in another room. They have to, they're choosing to make dinner later. Or if you're single and on your own, like you're just relaxing, or you have more work to do. Let's be real, we still work sometimes afterwards. So I think it's important to think about the lifestyle and how, I want to say, mainstream entrepreneurship has not caught up to how women are thriving and what we need. So I think it's about a style of what we need. We're taking back our power and bringing that into the way we do business. So networking is going to look completely different for us, and that's what's best for us. So that's what we should be doing.
Right. Lauren, I'd like for you to answer that same question. What about the challenges the women face with network exclusion? What are your thoughts?
I've faced a lot of them. I have to say that being a woman in politics, oftentimes, not only am I the only woman, but I'm also the youngest person in the room. So people not only don't take me seriously because I'm a woman, but they think that because I'm young, I'm not knowledgeable in the arena that I'm in. So my grandmother used to always tell me growing up, you catch more flies with honey than you do vinegar. So the same thing as Lisa said, when you walk in those spaces, you have to kind of own them. Not only just own them, but take up the space. Don't be afraid to enter there and be confident and know who you are, what you're doing, and that you're grounded in that. When I walk into a networking or a fundraising event and I'm the only African-American woman or Latino woman in the room and I'm the youngest person, I'll walk in there, I give a firm handshake and I say, hi, how are you doing? My name is Lauren McCaskill. I'm CEO of Lauren McCaskill Consulting Group, and I give them my whole 15-minute pitch. Well, not 15 minutes, 15 seconds. But I walk in and I use the things that, I find valuable to me, my smile. I always smile. And I always make sure that I'm, keeping my best foot forward and showing them like I can be in this room and I can show you that we can be in these spaces, because politics is very male dominated. And I remember when I was running for SGA president at Seton Hall, I actually had a woman tell me, you'll never make it past, university level and running for office. It's just not for women. And I didn't want to believe that. And I didn't. And I kept going. And I completely owned that space and said, here I am today.
Yeah, absolutely. Quick question, virtual networking. As you know, the pandemic and COVID-19 has really done a number, regarding how we do business now. Virtual networking events. Do you think it's a game changer for women business owners? Lisa?
Absolutely. When the pandemic hit, the end of, I guess, March 10th, we had to start quarantine on the 14th. Mm-hmm. A week later, I launched a virtual networking soiree because I already knew we were not going to be meeting up in person. After we held the virtual summit, which was with a whole bunch of speakers, I did about 15 interviews and we had master classes also for continuing ed. But I realized that was great, but once it's over, it's over. But what is a way we can still bring people together? So what I ended up doing was like, you know what? I had one meeting with my accountability partner and it said, you know what, I'm going to do this networking soiree. I feel it and my energy is telling me bring everyone together and organize it. So that's what I did. I put it together and I put it out there and 30 women showed up. on the first one. So to me, that's a testament to people wanting to come together, and everyone's like, what's helping me survive are these virtual events. Okay, that I'm doing business, I'm hiring people, I'm getting hired, I'm meeting my collaborators. I have women who are doing virtual pop-up shops, and they're getting vendors for their pop-up shops because their business used to be offline in person. So they ended up pivoting to do virtual pop-up shops. You know, for me, I have a virtual business. So for me, it wasn't very challenging, but it was challenging that people weren't enrolling in packages because of COVID. So I had to pivot a little bit in the work that I do. So I did more speaking engagements. But I find that the most important thing is to build your community online, because even if you're not necessarily charging for a service or your virtual events, and you should charge, but a lot of the time it's the perfect opportunity to build a community, to get in front of your clients and customers and see what their needs are and support them, right? And I think when Lady has the storage space company, think about how many people are going to have to move or put things away or get rid of things, like, and connected with knowing exactly what their needs are right now can really help them remember you later when they're ready to move. Because I know people who are breaking up who are ready to move and need storage space and things of that nature. So I think it's really important to have a personal touch. And I really believe that virtual networking is perfect for women entrepreneurs, specifically because we thrive on intimate, authentic connections. And that's one of our strengths that I find that the male-dominated community in entrepreneurship hasn't necessarily completely touched on yet. I feel like they're getting there, but it's something that's our strength that we need to lean into more. And I find that I am healthier as an entrepreneur when I join these events and when I provide them. Even on a personal level. I think if you're nervous about doing virtual networking, start with your friends, you know, practice with your friends and see how you feel, play with the breakout rooms, join an event that you heard is good, test it out, and it'll really help you.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you. Now, I'd like to talk money and finances, which is another big challenge for women entrepreneurs, and that's limited funding. It's common for women to be denied loans because of gender and cultural biases. And unfortunately, many institutions tend to fund male-owned businesses. Now, regarding small business lending, what is the current lending landscape for women entrepreneurs? Who is lending and what has changed? Maureen, what do you think?
Well, I think the landscape for women securing loans, grants, and other things, it has dramatically changed over the years. It really has, because there are more businesses being started by women than there are men. So when you look at banking institutions, credit unions, small business lenders, if they want to stay viable, this is who their new clients are. This is their growing market share, women business owners. So, as the tidal wave of women come into the marketplace, you know what? Requirements and things change. There's a lot, like within governments and things like that, grants for women-owned companies, grants for minority-owned companies. So a lot of those things are being put in place to try and level out the playing field. But as I said, with the local banks and credit unions, women-owned businesses, that's where the growth is. So they're doing business with them in a big way. So.
Okay, great point. Now, because many of these women have faced challenges securing loans the traditional way, a new class of online lenders has emerged over the last few years. And basically, they specialize in extending financing to entrepreneurs quickly. The interest rates, the repayment terms, business line of credit, and other forms of small business financing from online lenders will obviously not match what you would expect from a traditional bank. However, their benefits include less strict standards and fast funding times, some in as little as 1 day. A recent study found that women's personal credit scores are, on average, 25 points lower than men's scores. Do online lenders make a better bet for women business owners than banks? Caitlin, I'd like to address that question to you.
So this is a tough one. And if you're someone who's interested in this type of loan, I would suggest that you really do your due diligence. You make sure you know exactly what you're getting yourself into, what the fees are going to be. There's some good things about them. I believe these types of loans can be more flexible. You might have a longer time to pay them off. You can maybe borrow a lot more. What's unique is that there aren't necessarily restrictions on how the loans have to be spent. So you might find there's less red tape with these type of loans. You'll of course have to meet certain requirements still, but the process probably will look a little bit different for you. However, it might come at a cost. I've heard that interest rates can be much higher than traditional loans. You might have other charges like loan origination fees, things like that. So before you take the leap, of course, like you always would, ask questions and make sure you really understand the full impact it's going to have on you and your business.
Right. Okay. Now, if you are a woman, small business owner who wants to do business with corporate or government clients, there's a lot of competition out there. But you can get an edge by getting your company certified as a woman-owned business. As a matter of fact, the federal government agencies are required by law to meet goals for giving certain percentage of their contracts to women-owned businesses. In industries where women have historically been underrepresented, some federal agencies even set aside a certain percentage of their contracts for women-owned businesses. I'd like to discuss in more detail what certification really is for those of us not familiar with this term, and what steps are needed for women entrepreneurs to get certified. Lauren, what do you suggest?
Okay. So I would suggest there is a woman who actually specializes in this in the state of New Jersey. Her Instagram handle is the Procurement Queen. If you want to reach out to her, I'll put it in the chat later. And you can also reach out to me. But the process is it's a multi-layered process. And what you want to do is you want to make sure that you know what you're getting yourself into. And you want to make sure that when you get your certification, because there are different steps that you have to go through, that you have someone who has the knowledge of the exact steps to do to get the certification. I'm actually in the process now of getting my certification, and it was a whirlwind, to say the least, because I thought I was just going to fill out a piece of paper and that was going to be it. But there's definitely more than that. So again, her name is the Procurement Queen, but when you're competing for grants and things of such, it actually benefits you to have these certifications, because you're showing that not only are you going to be friendly to women in your workspace, but that you're going to have that supportive, that network for them, and you're going to set that up. So for me, that's very important, because in my experience, sometimes I found that I was being more discouraged by women than I was encouraged. So in my career, and what I want to do with my business is make sure that I'm empowering women specifically, and minority women, to go ahead and just do it, kind of like Nike says with their slogan, but just to do it and make sure that, they have the tools that are necessary. And I think having the certification in your toolbox is definitely beneficial to have, 110%.
Great. Now, Maureen, SCORE has a lot of useful information and can help start or grow your business. Can you tell us more about SCORE's Women Business Leaders Resource Center? And what does that entail?
Don't get me started. Just to let you know, SCORE itself is actually led by a woman. So, and there's a lot of women on the board. So we are very, very, her name is Bridget Weston. She's the CEO for SCORE, a younger woman. So she's very entrepreneurial herself. So with that, there's a lot of tools that SCORE has. One of them, if you go to score.org, there is, and you type in the search bar, you put women business leaders resources, you're going to get a boatload of women entrepreneurial resources available to you. So there is a whole cache of stuff like that. In addition, if you're looking for specific, gee, I need help with marketing or I need help with that, there are videos, there are blogs, and once again, there are exciting mentors that do exactly what you need help with. And it's all for free. So, I mean, I'm a working marketing director, and I devote my time for free because I like businesses and I like to see them kick the doors open and be great. And I love helping women too. So it's a great resource for you. So go on either score.org and kind of look around and see what's available. And as I said, you type in the search bar, Women Business Leaders Resources, and you will see a whole big section come up with all videos, blogs, templates, you name it, it'll be in there. So I always say, if somebody's already done the work for you, then go utilize it. If you're halfway there, utilize it. Don't reinvent the wheel. So that's just some of the stuff that SCORE has, and a boatload of webinars. And every other twice a month, we have a woman's SCORE mentor helping women entrepreneurs webinar every other week. So there's that as well, of which I've been on that a lot too.
Right. Lisa, you are an experienced ladypreneur, and I know that you're very passionate about women's small business, and you also go and try and help and mentor women who are either starting a business or are in business. Tell us a little bit about your leadership role in that respect.
Thank you. For me, definitely always wanting to provide them with the education and the tools that I didn't have when I started out. I've been an entrepreneur now for 13 years. My anniversary was November 8th. And it's a really big deal when you see that I used to be usually 1 in 3 entrepreneurs in a room, women entrepreneurs in the spaces I used to be in. It was usually a lot of executives, but you didn't find entrepreneurs a lot of the time. So it was challenging to network beyond just getting clients. Getting clients is great, you're getting business, but sometimes you want to collaborate and you want to do projects with people, and you didn't always find that. And also the tools, I didn't have access to the tools back then. So what I do now is I bring in experts. I bring in experts in marketing, in fundraising, from speaking, every area of business that you can think of to support women entrepreneurs. And that's what we consider our continuing ed piece. We did a summit, we recorded it, and it's available for purchase for continuing education. And we have community conversations, what we did a little bit of when the COVID started, to help women pivot their businesses, because they come from every arena. So for me, I find people who are doing event planning who had to pivot. And what they did was they started to teach people how to prepare their events at home, like graduations and anniversaries and even weddings. So you have to think outside the box, because a lot of people are not going to get access to capital to grow their businesses right now, especially with the way the business models are. So what I want to support women to do and small business owners is to figure out a way to scale your businesses, because a lot of the reason why we don't get to the income level is because we're not scaling, and we need the money to scale. So it's about teaching them the small ways to scale. What part of your business can you package and sell without you having to do the work to consistently be there, right? It's really thinking about those particular steps. I find that the biggest thing is I took my coaching brain and put it in courses. I took it and put it in handouts. Like, what are the things that people can grab right away? Because I find that if we think too big and too far ahead, we think we can't do something. I'm not talking about dreaming big. I'm talking about, wow, that's a lot of work. I don't know how I'm going to build that car, right? Whatever the case may be. But I find that with women being so busy with lifestyle, family, friends, commitments that we make, we have to start doing things to simplify in our businesses to be able to continue growing them without burning ourselves out. So to me, it's about building and scaling a profitable business to thrive. So giving them the education, the financial education, the branding and strategy education to be able to be unique in what it is that you are doing, and having the community that can support you to be visible with opportunities to get in front of the right audience that are your client customers. So to me, it's a holistic view of the way to support them, because I already knew the old school view, the norm, what it was considered the norm, the finite business models that don't work for us, not because we're not organized, because women are organized, they organize their partners, they can organize their family and friends, but it's really about, if it doesn't feel aligned to what we want, it's not going to make sense and it may not make dollars. So I think it's really important to do that for us to continue. And I wanted to say one last thing about resources. I'm in New York City. So women who are listening are in New York, they can check out we.nyc. They can become a women-owned business, certified women-owned business there. I just wanted to share a little bit of the resource, so in case anybody was wondering. Well, go to we.nyc, because I'm trying to pull it up now. They say that you have to be at 51% owned by women. The business needs to be owned by women, and you have to live in one of the 5 boroughs of New York City, and 25% of your revenue needs to be generated in New York City. But you can learn definitely more at we.nyc. And other funding resources that really help women right now that are definitely unorthodox are I Fund Women, the letter I, and I Fund Women. You can .org. And you can also find them on Instagram at I Fund Women, and they prepare you to get funding and also be prepared with education. And another organization started by a Harvard business graduate, African-American woman named Ariel Lauren. She has 100K Incubator. And it's a mobile, it's a business funding app for women. It's a business funding app for women. They literally match you with funders, lenders that are appropriate for your business. And you can follow her at 100K Incubator on Instagram. And like I said, you can download the app and check out what are the opportunities there. I find that we need to find non-traditional ways of getting funding.
Absolutely. I can't tell you how many of our Back to Business clients have reached out to us asking for resources on grants and funding. So hold that thought, because at the end of our discussion, I have a quick slide that I'd like to share with everyone for additional resources where women entrepreneurs can get funding and help and mentoring. So, but right now, I'd like to turn the discussion over to Elise and Jane, our small business owners. Elise, I'd like to start with you. Tell us, what has your entrepreneurial journey been like?
It's been a pretty interesting ride, but I really can't say that I've had any other obstacles other than self-limited ones. I never felt I'm in an artistic, field, so I've never felt that being a woman held me back at all. As a matter of fact, it's been a real advantage in photography and in my business. And I even had another male photographer tell me that women like other women as photographers, and even men prefer women photographers, and they've lost photography opportunities to other women. So I really can't say I've had any negative issues on my journey, other than just maybe lack of confidence at the beginning, lack of resources, not knowing everything that would have helped me sooner.
All right, great. Jane, same question. What has your small business journey been like?
Well, my journey's been a little different. I kind of was thrown into the self-storage industry. My husband was in the business for a long time, and when he passed away, it was like, okay, what are we going to do here? So, and we had just purchased the land in Red Bank. So this was one of his big dreams, was to build this from ground up, in addition to running the other 2 facilities. So one of the biggest challenges to me was not only being new to the industry, but I was a woman coming into a pretty male-dominated industry. And I mean, there's lots of women in the other capacities, but not necessarily owners or developers. And I think it was just, I had to prove myself. And that was a bit of a struggle. And I had 3 partners in each of the different facilities and projects. And I kind of had to prove to them that I can do this. And it just took a lot of learning on my part, a lot of reading of everything I could possibly learn about self-storage. I had to surround myself with professionals, good attorney, good accountant, good marketing person, you know, and to start to build my confidence, I guess, because you think, how am I going to do this? And you have to say, wait a minute, I have a passion for this. This was something my husband really had a passion for. It needs to transfer to me, and you need to go with it. And you start to realize, if you ask questions, people are there to help. And you can't be an expert in every area of an industry or a business. That's why there's professionals that you hire, just like Maureen was saying, you know, and I think all of you have mentioned networking. I joined the Eastern Monmouth Chamber of Commerce and got very involved with them. You can kind of find mentors sometimes when you're networking too. It's not just bouncing ideas off of it. You can find mentors that really can help you, and just have confidence that you can do it. So I guess my challenge was coming into a male industry and kind of being thrown into it, and 5 years later things are going fine, and I love what I do. So it's been a learning experience, but you know, a bit of a challenge, if any. Thank you.
Yay, Jane.
Well, I want to piggyback on that, Jane, because failure is a very real possibility in any business venture. What advice can you give women in order for them not to let their insecurities keep them from dreaming big?
Well, I think again, just have confidence in yourself. If you're going into a business that you're trying to get off the ground, right then and there, you probably know more about that business than anybody else, okay? And you have this passion. And I think you have to, women should draw from their confidence, from their passion, from their instincts, and just go with it. And again, surround yourself with people who can help, people who are uplifting to you, who give you positive feedback. And you're going to make mistakes, but you know, you just learn from those mistakes. And I was told at one point in constructing this project, I kind of joked with my lender. He had a lot of developers working with him, and I would say, all right, I'm the problem child, you know, because I don't know what I'm, you know, doing, or I had a lot of problems along the way. And, you know, at one point he said to me, you're not the problem child. There's developers who have been in this business for 20 years and they're having similar mistakes and problems along the way. So you just have to realize, don't be so hard on yourself. You can do it.
Elise, with the COVID-19 restrictions, many have had to quickly adapt and pivot. How have you adapted, and what pivots did you put in place to forge your business ahead?
Well, I'd always done resumes for clients for many years. I just never really promoted it much. I let it just be a word of mouth type thing. But with everybody kind of locked down at home and maybe not being able to return to their job or not wanting to go back, I suddenly had a big market of people who needed resumes. And so once I started promoting it, I got a great response. So it wasn't so much that I pivoted because I was doing it already, but I took a different tactic in promoting it, which I hadn't done before. So that worked out really well. As far as my photography business, I was very able in March and April, you know, there were much fewer clients, but it was easy to social distance. I have zoom lenses. I set up my equipment outside. We had a mild spring. It really wasn't too cold. So people who needed headshots, and there were people who did need them no matter what the conditions. If you need something, you need it. And I would set everything up outside my studio building. They would drive. It was almost like a drive-by, but they came dressed. They didn't have to come into the studio. Everything was set up outside, the lights, the equipment, and they just stood where they needed to stand. And I stood way back there and gave direction. And I was able to continue, not at the same volume, but I could still offer it. And I got calls all the time. I'm still getting them saying, are you able to do anything? Are you still open during this time? And I said, absolutely. I can work with almost any condition. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful. Jane, same question. How did you adapt, and what pivots did you have to put in place in order to keep the business going?
Yeah, well, we were very fortunate. Self-storage was allowed to, at first we thought we had to close our office and people would still have access to their units, but then we were told like a week later we were allowed to have the office open. So our big concern was keeping our customers safe and our employees safe. So we instituted the same, cleaning, masks, contactless rentals. So a customer didn't even have to come into the office. You can still do that online. We'd have the unit all ready for everybody to go, give them their access code, and they wouldn't even have to come in. We had within the office, we did the barriers, and we have signs where people need to stand, and again, the focus was mainly on keeping our customers safe and our employees safe. So we've been doing okay. So those are still instituted right now, and yeah, storage is doing okay. we made it through, so we're doing all right. Yeah.
Good. I have one last question for Elise and Jane. And I would like to invite the attendees to start thinking about any questions you might want to ask our panelists. Again, feel free to type and post your questions in the Q&A, or you can also just raise your hand and ask your questions. But my last question, Elise and Jane, can you share with us some of the challenges you've encountered of running a business as a woman?
Well, I can't say that being a woman, again, in my field was a detriment, because it wasn't. But I think that a lot of other women photographers that I've known generally don't take it seriously as a business, because it's a creative field and it probably started as a hobby. So I think that when they have to start thinking in terms of income, balance sheets, bookkeeping, advertising, marketing, inventory, invoicing, getting paid, I think that's where most women seem to be a little more timid, because I've heard that the number one reason for failure for small businesses is not getting paid. Women tend to not want to push to get paid, to get their money. So I think that just being able to run your business and not be afraid of every aspect of it, that might be something that most women have a little bit of trouble with. Sometimes you have to be a little tougher, or you have to put aside personal feelings and feeling sorry for people and situations. And you have to remember that you're running a business and it's not a hobby. And again, in my field of creativity, people often feel, well, you're just creating something pretty and nice. So they don't always take the tactic that it is something that has to pay bills. So that's kind of where the challenge that I've found and heard of is that.
I was just going to say, to dovetail on what Elise said, that's probably one of my biggest problems that I come across with SCORE mentoring is women, and it's women, not charging enough for their product or service. And it's like, okay, this is great. It covers your expense. It covers what are you going to get paid? And it's like, you've got to build that into the price of your product or service. And so many times, women are the last one to get paid. It's the one who invented it or who serviced it. So that is very much, Elise, a very big issue. Glad you brought that up.
Self-worth. Know your self-worth. Never apologize for your pricing, and you deserve it.
Great. Okay. All right. Now I'm going to turn it over to our attendees. I'm actually unmuting you. Oh, Tatiana, you need to unmute yourself. There we go. Okay, great. Okay, any questions for our panelists? No questions?
Actually, yes. Hello.
Yes, Tatiana. How are you?
Hello, everyone. Yes, so I just had a question. I'm actually a new business development manager at a minority woman business-owned firm. So I was actually very excited about that, and I wanted to know, what would you recommend as a female business developer? how to better network with men or just in general, how to find the right networking events or how to introduce myself to those places where I can thrive in that environment, or how to explore those new areas to me.
I have some suggestions. Hi, Tatiana, this is Lisa. So I think it's great, and congratulations on starting your business and being certified. I would definitely search online for some of the organizations that are holding virtual networking events right now. Look into, specifically if you're in Jersey or if you're in New York, wherever you are, definitely do a search online to find the organizations that are holding events, because a lot of men network everywhere, right? So, but I think it's important that you find out if you have a niche in your online business, management or what you're doing online. Find out where your clients and customers are that happen to be men. Who are you looking to target? Because you don't want to just go to an event just to meet random people. You want to be a little more strategic. So think about who you want to meet with. Maybe you want to look into chambers of commerce for your area and find out what events they're holding right now virtually, and ask questions and speak up and speak to people during the event. Engage in the chat. Put your information. You want to be engaging. So the most important thing is that we're not in person, right? So how are you going to talk to people? They're going to have to hear your voice. They're going to have to see your face. So find ways to be visible and also engage on top of that. I don't right now have a specific place beyond the Chamber of Commerce, and then looking into other places. I know in New York, look into what We NYC has. I know that Maureen probably has resources to share as well. But definitely look into different business organizations so you can find people who are looking for your services.
And then you can also go online with LinkedIn. LinkedIn has a boatload of people on there, and there's so many different groups on there that you can just do a search and it's like, aha, these are my people, and kind of hook up with them and jump into the conversation.
Thank you so much.
Tatiana, I have one quick. Are you located in New Jersey?
We are located in New Jersey and we operate in New York as well.
Okay, so I have a contact that I actually want to put you in contact with. There's a couple different groups that she actually has connections to, and she does exactly what you do. So I want to connect you with her because we're all 7 degrees of separation away. So you never know when you're meeting someone when you give your pitch, whether who they know, what their network is like. So make sure that you have your 15-second pitch saying what you did, just like you just did with us. And you never know who they can connect you with. So if you can, or just email me. I think I put my email in the chat for everyone to see, and I'll make sure that I do that connection for you today.
That would be great. Thank you so much.
Tatiana, I wanted to add one thing. Sorry. Can I put my email in the chat?
Absolutely.
Let you know to come to the networking event that we're having tomorrow. And you can practice your chops there if you want. And you can get some advice from the branding strategist that will be there tomorrow. That way you can get comfortable networking in a way that's aligned to who you are and finding the right people.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Great.